Dungeon Keeper was released in 1997 and developed by Bullfrog Studios. It is a real-time strategy game where you are in charge of a dungeon and you are taking over the world. The tagline to some of the box art is "Evil is good." You are playing as the bad guy and trying to destroy all things that are good. I will start off the review by showing you the overworld map, and when I get there I will let the introduction play. So play the Dungeon Keeper original campaign. It is worth noting that I am using a fan-made mod called Keeper FX, which pretty much sorts out some of the bugs that are there and slightly improves the gameplay overall.
Eversmile. Set in the realm of joy, the people of Eversmile are plagued only by aching facial muscles, and not anthrax as we had hoped. Eversmile is a disgusting land of good humour and polite frivolity.
Now, one of the things I love about this game is the voice acting and generally the sounds. The voice actor for this game is also known as the Mentor, is Richard Ridings. Not a particularly famous name. He's a British actor and voice actor. I think quite interestingly, this voice actor, Richard Ridings, sounds the voice of Peppa Pig's dad, Daddy Pig, in the children's TV programme. He also returned for a game called War for the Overworld, which is like a spiritual successor to Dungeon Keeper 2, I suppose it would be. So this is the world. The aim of the game is to conquer the world. You go through it one level at a time. The flag represents where you are about to enter. This is the first level. As you complete levels, another flag appears, and the land changes from being nice and green. And you can hear in the background there are birds singing, because it's a lovely place to be. As you conquer the world, the scene changes. There's red, like lava flowing everywhere. And eventually, once you take over enough, the sounds in the background change. So I'm going to move on to gameplay next. Alright, so I have picked... This isn't the first level, this is actually the 9th level. I will probably be using this level for most of the review. So if you're playing through this, or if this spoils anything, I'm not aiming to spoil anything in here. I will probably change to a later level if anything gets too detailed. So, you are in charge of a dungeon. You always begin with space and a dungeon heart. This dungeon heart is your life force, effectively. If your dungeon heart dies, you've lost the level. Is what it comes down to. There are rooms to put in. We've got different tabs on the left, and we've got treasure room, lair, hatchery, training room, library, and then you can research extra rooms. There are spells that are available that do different things. They always start with 2, which are Possess Creature and Create Imp, which Possess Creature does what it says. You can possess a creature, create Imp, again, self-explanatory. There is a there is a map where you can see the outline of the level that you are on. There are different creatures that can come into the dungeon. They come through the portal, and depending on what rooms you put down determines what creatures will come into your dungeon. Now, the one thing that kind of powers your dungeon is gold, this number here. Everything costs gold, basically. Putting down rooms, creating imps, but casting spells. Here we have traps and doors. They don't cost money, actually. And you can actually make a little bit of money from traps and doors. There is a payday, creatures payday. So once I've got some creatures, they require money. Training requires money. And yeah, that's basically everything that requires money. So quite a lot of stuff. However, there is a limited amount of gold in most maps. But we can see here, gold seam. This is where we get gold from. There are also gem seams, which we'll get to maybe later. Right, I'm going to play this level a little bit and then show you some more things later once I've got a small dungeon set up. Okay, so I've built some rooms, a bit of library, got a hatchery, training room, Got a treasury, 2 treasuries in fact, and a lair. I'll go over the 5 basic rooms, or other rooms that come along later. So this is where my creatures will make their own little homes, their own lairs. Library is where we research spells. Most of these are self-explanatory, to be honest. Hatchery, these are chickens that will feed your minions. Training room makes them stronger. So I haven't claimed this portal yet, so I'll go ahead and claim that. I'll take all these tiles out. Now, because I've got all the rooms I possibly can at the moment, I'll get potentially the best creatures I can on this level. Each level, there are different creatures available to you. As you go through the levels, stronger and stronger creatures do become available. So the first level, you have some quite weak creatures, flies and beetles. And as you go through the levels, you get stronger and stronger creatures, which can bile demons, dragons, vampires, and you'll see it when you play it. So when rock gets taken out, land is unclaimed, I can't build. But once the imps have claimed the land, I can build on it. Right, so quite soon I should see some creatures coming in. For example, here's a warlock. This warlock comes in because I've got a library and I think a lair. The creatures will go to Dungeon Heart. I don't really know the actual purpose of this. To me, it's kind of like saying hello, like registering into the dungeon, like, aha, yes, I'm here. And then, let's see, each creature gets a little symbol based on what they want to be doing. This is like a house. So this warlock wants to go and create his own little house, his lair. So off we'll go. There it goes. And where is he going to make the lair? Each creature has a different style of lair, which I think is pretty cool. And then it's got a little book there. Wants to go to the library, wants to research for me. So off we go. So I just want to straighten this out. And so then...
It is payday.
Okay, immediately it's payday. Guess it's proving one of my points. It's payday. Got a little symbol of gold. This warlock wants to be paid for being in my dungeon, as do all the other warlocks that I've since joined. And there's a fly scouting around, weak creature. Yeah, the point of this video isn't to go over all the creatures. Anyway, the creatures go around doing their own thing. They've all got different priorities. We've got a new creature here, Bile Demon. Like these, quite strong. And so the warlocks are going to research. The flies, for example, like to explore. Bile Demons like to create stuff in a workshop if there is a workshop, otherwise they don't do anything. But you don't have to leave the creatures to do what they want. You are, after all, in charge. This is your dungeon. So instead of letting this one go to the library, I can pick them up, drop them into the training room, and starts training to get stronger. For example, this Bile Demon, not going to leave it there doing its own thing. Going to make it strong. And so there's a spell research, Sight of Evil. I'm not going to go over all the spells, but just as an example, you can see here the number in the middle is the cost in gold. And then for this spell in particular, I can go and see what's there. Just temporarily. Alright, not going to reveal anything else in this level. So, I'm going to move on to the graphics next. Now, we do have to bear in mind, this game was made in 1997. That's 23 years ago at time of recording. And I'd say I quite like the graphics. Okay, so they're made of sprites. Right, it's not 3D modeling. But I quite like the detail in them. And each creature, the animations are smooth. For each creature, the animations are different as well. And one thing I do like about this game, though, is you can see the graphics here, right, from the third-person perspective overview. But when we possess a creature, as I showed you earlier, we actually see the dungeon from the inside. We've still got sprites going, right, so it is kind of obvious that we've got sprites, because it doesn't matter which direction we look from, it always looks the same. But considering, again, it's made in 1997, I'd say it's pretty good. Does it hold up to today's standards? Not quite, no. Right, quite obviously not. But I think it's fairly passable, if I'm honest. So yeah, I'm happy with the graphics. I don't think they're too much of an eyesore to look at, to be honest, in this day and age. Especially when you've got to consider that this was made quite a while ago. Alright, then, onto almost my favourite part of the game, the sounds. The sounds create, I don't know how to put it, but the atmosphere is really enhanced by the sounds. So depending on what room you're in, you hear different sounds. So I'm in the training room. There, a Bile Demon just leveled up, celebrating. And each creature's got a slightly different sound for different situations. We can hear the turning of these targets. We hear the flies buzzing around. Now, if I go to... Not every room has a particular sound. So when we come to the library, all we hear is the pitter-patter of feet and the sound of new ideas being researched. We come to the hatchery and all the chickens going around. And when you slap a chicken, nice, lovely sounds. The creatures, most of them, also have a different sound when you pick them up and drop them. So I'll pick a few up, like bar demons. And then when you drop them, but then we've got a demon spawn. Some of the sounds are a bit similar, but that's okay. Way. I actually quite like picking up that sort of line. Alright, bar demons are nice and strong. Get the training. We'll be training my warlocks later. Yeah, I'm gonna show you some sounds of some rooms soon. I just need to wait for these rooms to be researched. Ah, perfect timing. Right, workshop, here we go. Put it, there's a noisy workshop next to a nice quiet library. Thankfully they don't really care so much. So even without any creatures working inside it, this workshop has got a very unique, particular sound. You won't hear this anywhere else. When you hear the sounds, you know you're near a workshop. It's kind of this rhythmic, almost beat that's constantly going in the dungeon. So as you build more rooms, your dungeon actually becomes slightly, I guess slightly noisier, but it feels more lived in. Alright, so I will show you the sounds, play the sounds of different rooms soon. Just got to let my minions research the rooms first. I've finished researching all the rooms in this. I've finished researching all the rooms in this level. Now here's the graveyard. You can hear the ringing of the bell in the background constantly. Come over here, a bit of temple. Got some chanting, almost like some sort of ritualistic chanting or praying or something. So not every room has a sound, but I think enough of them do. Some should be silent. I've got a prison, right? Shouldn't make a sound. Torture chamber. Without anything inside, there's no sound. But I can. You don't always have to do this. Pick up a creature. And then we've got different creatures make different sounds when they're upset and unhappy. I'll get a bit upset if I keep doing that. Alright, yeah, so sounds. I really think sounds make this game. The game wouldn't be the same without all these different sounds that there are. The creatures, the rooms, the background, if there's water or lava. Here we've got the workshop. Yeah, it's really fun basically. I love listening to the sounds in this game. Alright, now, there are just a few downsides, perhaps, to the game. No game is perfect after all. Now, I think there are probably two main issues that people might have with this game. First of all, is that at the beginning of every level, you have to rebuild a dungeon, you have to research all the same rooms, even if you know what rooms are coming. So I do know some people find this a bit repetitive. You start a new level and we have to build a dungeon all over again. We have to start all our creatures from level 1. And it takes up a bit of time. Now some people, on the other hand, I think that actually this is almost a benefit for the game in a way. At least as you go through the levels, you learn from your mistakes. You learn how to build a dungeon. And as you go through each level, like, alright, I'm going to put this room here and that room there this time because for this reason or for that reason. But some people might find that repetitive. And perhaps another simple thing, another thing downside to this game is that combat is very simple. You pretty much just drop your creatures down and let them fight against the enemies. There's no strategy to it really. You just dump in all your hardest creatures and hope you win. You can cast spells and things. It's not completely without a strategy, but it's really not very complex or very difficult. I'll show you an example of that now. So some enemy heroes are coming towards me now. Right, they're all gathering in. And I've created some traps before they get there, hopefully. Alright, all I can do really to fight them, drop my guys in. That's it, they all sort everything out themselves. I mean, it's not exactly complicated combat. It's just go
Your
and fight,
minions are winning a battle.
and then they heal themselves, go back to what they were doing. And that's it. Combat's over. Combat does tend to be quite quick. It doesn't have to be. It isn't always, but this can be. Right, I'm just going to claim this gold. There are lots of little details in the game. I'm not going to show them all. That really adds to the game. There's nice humour, again from the narrator. Lots of little secrets in each map. The levels are generally quite well designed, I think. There are a few levels where things can really mess up. Occasionally the AI isn't perfect. The Keep It FX mod actually tries to rectify most of this, which is good. Overall, I would definitely say that this game is worth a go.
A door has been manufactured.
I think few drawbacks of the game are very heavily outweighed by just how fun and interesting and kind of unique that this game is. A few games have come afterwards. There have been other games in the series.
A door has been manufactured.
Dungeon Keeper 2 is also, I think, worth a play, although the style and general atmosphere is a little bit different. Though some people do prefer Dungeon Keeper 2 to Dungeon Keeper 1. It's all down to personal preference, that. Both definitely worth it. So in terms of how the game would put it, I would give this game a rating of...
You have conquered this realm.
Right. Thanks for watching. I hope this has proved somewhat useful for you. If you do enjoy Dungeon Keeper, perhaps you can look at my playthrough or my tips and tricks video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.